Today we're going to look at the remote control and remote shell features in Tassient Aipex. First, a word about architecture. Everything you see here is done with outbound secure TLS connections over port 443. There are no open ports, there are no firewall changes, everything is outbound to the cloud, so it's instant to deploy. Let's start by looking how it integrates with the Agentic AI assistant. So this is a remote control session. We're looking at a Windows desktop. We've got the event viewer open. And if we open the assistant, immediately we capture a screenshot of the session and feed it into the conversation as part of like the AI discussion. And you can see that the AI assistant is able to use that image. Now we get onto the really interesting part. This is not just analyzing the image. This is actual agentic AI tools running live on the remote device to gather more information. This is all driven by the AI model. Now there are many more demos like this on the channel. Please check those out. It's an amazing, unique ability. Next, we have to talk about privacy and consent. So here is a user's desktop, and they get a prompt saying that a remote administrator would like to control their device, asking if they consent or not. And nothing happens until they do. This is what the administrator would see. Now, we do have an optional mode where you can bypass that. This is obviously protected by privileges, can only be enabled by a senior administrator. Normally you'd have it off, and in fact in this case we're not going to use it, but it's there for emergencies. So you can see we waited on consent, the user consented, and two things happened. Well, they have a disconnect button they can click at any time to end the session. Notice we also hid the wallpaper and then brought it back. That's mostly for performance reasons. And next, let's look at how we handle multiple displays. This user has 4 different displays. You can see them all sort of joined together there in one massive desktop. And using the top left menu, you can pick any individual display to zoom in on that. And then you can zoom in further and see pixel by pixel detail, and you can scroll around because the display we're remote controlling is a lot bigger than the window we're using to look at it. And then you can zoom back and you can see all of the displays put together in one big one. Now you'll notice it's very responsive. The frame rate there was fantastic. I thought I'd demonstrate this with a few YouTube clips. These are some movie trailers, and this is all, again, through the cloud. There is no point-to-point connection, no listening ports. This is all outbound HTTPS TLS. That was on Windows, this is on Mac. And you can see the performance is outstanding. It's a very responsive solution for remote controlling a remote device. Next, let's talk about the clipboard. Very important to be able to copy data in and out of your remote control session. So I'm remote controlling a remote Windows session. I have a local notepad running, which is in my local session. So I'm copying some English text out of my local notepad and into the remote session. I'm pasting that there. And we're going to translate it into some characters which are very much not ASCII characters. In this case, it's Punjabi. As you can see, we copied and pasted that out of the remote control session, and it worked perfectly. We'll do the same with some Japanese characters, and that worked very well. And then to prove it's bidirectional, we'll take a subset of that and copy it back into the session. And there you can see that worked perfectly. Windows Secure Desktop. So Windows has a special mode it goes into for logons and for launching applications with administrator privilege. So this is, again, another Windows 11 desktop. And when we click on it to log in, we actually switched to a different secure desktop here. And you can see it was completely transparent to us using the Aipex remote control. If I now launch an application as with admin privilege, you see run as administrator there. Again, we flipped to a secure desktop and then back again. That was completely invisible to the remote administrator, and the same when I go to a lock screen. We handle all that for you, but this is not easy to do. Not every remote control solution does this. On a Windows server, it's even more complex. First, you've got to use the Control-Alt-Delete to even log on, because Windows servers behave differently. Also, I can switch between users. So again, that was a secure logon screen, and as you can see, it was all handled completely transparently, and now we're logged in as a different user on this server. And again, more examples of the frame rate. Now, file transfer. File transfer is obviously very important to get files in and out of the remote device. So I'm connected to a remote Windows device. I've not logged on here, and using the file browser, I can actually navigate the remote file system. So you can see here that I'm jumping between different folders. Maybe I'm looking for something that I want to copy from the device into my browser, into my local device. So in this case, I'm going to copy this file here. It's a 76 megabyte file, and the browser asked me where I want to save it. And as you can see, it's uploading basically as fast as the internet will take it. It depends on the remote connection and your local connection. That's now in my my local folder. Now I can also use this to send files back the other way into that remote folder. So here's the file I just downloaded. I'm using the same file to give you an idea that it's just as fast in both directions. You can see I'm uploading in a few seconds here, and now that is placed back on the remote device. A nice bonus is if you do happen to be logged in, then the notification that we provide to the end user, and if you're remote controlling this machine, the admin sees it too. When a file is arriving, we get a little progress bar over there to let you know that a file is arriving and now that it's ready for use. And finally, let's talk about a really powerful feature, Remote Shell. Now, Remote Shell is similar, but it's text-based and it doesn't interrupt the user. The user never sees this. So what I'm doing is I'm opening a remote command prompt on a remote Windows device, and I'm launching it as system, so in local system context. So I have full authority and privilege on this remote device. And you can see I'm basically in a command prompt on that device. I can also launch in the context and the session of any logged on user. So this tab, I'm actually in here as the John user, and everything I do is effectively in that context and acts as the user. Let me show you. If I edit a file with the old DOS file editor, if I resize the remote shell, we actually update the rows and columns of the console in real time. So you get, it'll behave perfectly, and you can use it just like you could a command prompt on the device itself. It's very old school, and if you like old school, you can also turn it into a green screen as well. Very powerful, comprehensive way of remotely administrating and troubleshooting a device without having to interrupt the user. Let's take a look at it on Mac. Same idea. We're going to launch a remote shell on the Mac in this case. And we come in here into a terminal session as root. Again, so I have full control and privilege on this device. You can do old school things like vi edit a text file. And again, if I resize the remote shell, the row and column count is updated correctly. I can run tools like top to do some troubleshooting live on the device. And everything behaves as it should. And once again, I can open multiple tabs. So I can have multiple tools open at once. I can look at the output from one command and use it with the other. And now let's look at the same thing on Linux. This is an Ubuntu device running on an ARM processor. Again, I come in as root. You can run the same kind of tools. You can resize the window and it dynamically updates the size of the console. You can run tools like htop, which is a much more colorful alternative and much more pleasing interactive view. So I think you get the idea that with remote control and remote shell, Aipex gives you unbelievable real-time live control over every device on the network. It's instantly connected, enormously powerful, and full featured, just as if you were sitting in front of the device itself.